My teen has no time for SAT prep, is what I would say if I wanted my student to do horribly on their upcoming exam. For those of you guys that don't know me yet, my name is Jared Wynn. I'm the founder and director of Geometry Guru's SAT prep. And at this point in my career, I've helped hundreds of students increase their SAT scores so that they can go to their dream colleges or qualify for scholarships. With that being said, this is the number one excuse that I hear from parents every single year. Now, I know a lot of your teens have sports, extracurriculars, they have AP exams, whatever. That is not an excuse for them to put SAT prep on the back burner. Because let me just put it this way. Your perfect time for SAT prep will never come. Because guess what? There's always going to be another sport. There's always going to be another extracurricular or another club or another AP exam. The best time to start is when you're not ready to start. That's the whole point of this, okay? Because if your team really wants to get a 1500 SAT score, that is a top 1% score. A 1500 is a top 1% score. So if you want a top 1% score, you need to do top 1% actions. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in this video right here. Because if you want your team to go to the top colleges, the reality is that they're going to have to get used to balancing all the things that they have on their plate. So they might as well start now. So the first thing that I do with every single student that comes through our program is that we do a time audit. We take a look at their cell phone time and we take a look at their computer time, because what students don't realize is they are spending hours and hours and hours on TikTok, Instagram, all these random apps that just aren't getting them anywhere. And on the computer is even worse. They're playing computer games, whatever. And they're telling their parents, "Oh, I don't have time for SAT prep." But they have 6 hours to spend on TikTok, right? Good SAT prep, if you're doing it correctly, only takes about an hour a day if you're doing it right. So that is the first thing that we do. Where can we find that extra time? And it's usually in that screen that you're looking at right now. Now, the second thing that we do here is that we do a time blocking exercise with them. As in, they know exactly when all their extracurriculars are. They know what time they do practice for sports or music. They know what times the classes are for other tutoring. So they need to plan around that. Usually it's in the same blocks every single week. So what do my students do? They block off on their Google Calendar, hey, this hour every single day I have sports. This hour every single day I typically do homework for my college consultant, right? Whatever. Then all you need to do is just slot an hour a day, 5 days a week, so that your team can have that dedicated time to do nothing but SAT prep. It is not as hard as you really think it is. The execution is another thing, but you got to make sure that they can see it on the calendar. So we got to make sure we do that next. The third thing that we do here is what we call the lima bean theory. Now, what is the lima bean theory? Let me put it this way. You remember when your parents, right, or let's say you make food for your kids, you usually have the steak, you have the potatoes, and then you have the vegetables. You have the broccoli, you have the lima beans. Everyone loves the steak and the potatoes. Everyone hates the lima beans. So what do you do first, or what do your kids do first? They eat the lima beans first so that they can eat the rest of the steak and the potatoes, right? Or whatever it is that their favorite meal is. Because once you get the lima beans out of the way, you can just enjoy the rest of the meal. That's the same thing that what you got to do for SAT prep. In this case, the lima beans are the SAT prep, or the SAT prep hours that your team needs to do. And the steak and potatoes is everything else they want to do. The sports, the extracurriculars, the stuff that gives them actual joy in life, or even homework for other classes. Because it's very easy for SAT prep to get lost in their schedule, because the test for them is like weeks away. But for school and all these immediate deadlines, that's a tomorrow thing. So what we have them do first is, before they do anything, right, they do that time blocking right before they do everything else. So before they do the homework for school, before they do their practices or their extracurricular work, they do SAT before they even touch those things. So that way, SAT is done and out of the way. You made the time for it. All right. Let me give you a real world example. If you've been following me for a while, you know that there's this kid named Caden. Caden is going to Princeton. How did Caden do that? Because he was very good at managing his time. When he first came into our program, he was scoring a 1300. He needed a 1450 in order to play Division I basketball over the Ivy League schools. He told me the same thing. Jared, I'm doing 6 APs. I'm doing basketball and I'm doing track as well. how am I supposed to actually do these things? Well, that's because what we did with Caden was that we worked on the correct things. Yes, we had to audit his time. Yes, we had to help him time block. Yes, we had to do the lima bean theory with him, but we had to make sure that he was working on the correct things. So before, all he was doing was just doing a bunch of Blue Book exams, a bunch of Khan Academy, a bunch of test prep books, and that was pretty much it. And his score wasn't really going anywhere because it felt like everything he was working on was super generic, not targeted to him specifically. So he would spend all these hours just for his test to go nowhere. And he was getting really frustrated. He was like, I'm putting in all this work. I am squeezing all my time in with my sports and my AP exams, but nothing's really working. So what did we have to do with him? We had to do what we call it here the efficiency index, in which we needed to do a full-length diagnostic on him so that we can see exactly which of the 64 SAT concepts was Caden actually struggling on. Not just the stuff that he was getting wrong, but why he was actually getting them wrong. Because the reality is this, there's only 3 reasons why Caden and any other student would get anything wrong on the exam. Number 1, they just don't understand how to do it. They never learned it before. Maybe they forgot it because it's been so long ago. Whatever, right? Either that or he's spending too much time on them. Or the third one is fatigue, a little bit of both, as in he's spending so much time on the beginning portion of the module that by the time he got to the end part of the module, he was getting them wrong even though he actually understood how to do them. So once we understood exactly which of the 64 concepts that Caden needed to work on, the entire plan focused solely on those. Because that way, the hour that he did have every single day during his week, he could focus on the correct things. And because he had a really focused hour, he got way more done than if you were to have 5 or 6 hours in that day, right? Just working on everything. All right, so that's an example of how we do this for our students. So that's it for today's video, family. If you guys need help applying this to your teen situation, send me an email or send me a DM. I'd be more than happy to help you guys out. No obligations. Until then, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next video.